The 1970s gave us legendary music, songs that still fill arenas, songs that defined generations. But the decade also gave us tracks that made people reach for the dial the second they came on. Some were overplayed, some were painfully sentimental, and some were just emotionally exhausting. These are the 10 most hated songs of the 1970s, starting with number 10. Number 10, Shannon, Henry Gross, 1976. On the surface, this song was sincere. Released in 1976, Shannon was written by Henry Gross after learning that Beach Boys member Carl Wilson's Irish setter had died. It's a soft rock ballad about losing a beloved dog, and that's exactly where the divide began. The song climbed to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, which meant heavy radio rotation. During the summer of '76, you couldn't escape it. It played in cars, grocery stores, living rooms, everywhere. Musically, it followed the mid-'70s soft rock formula perfectly. Gentle acoustic guitars, swelling strings, earnest, vulnerable vocals, but the emotional tone never let up. There's no contrast, no lift, no relief, just steady, unfiltered sadness about a dog most listeners had never met. For some, it felt heartfelt. For others, it felt emotionally overwhelming, even manipulative. By late summer, people were groaning when the opening notes began. It became known as the song that could clear out a party. DJs joked about it. Critics were divided. Public opinion leaned negative. Henry Gross never had another major hit. Shannon defined his career, not as a classic, but as one of the decade's most debated ballads. Number 9, Having My Baby, Paul Anka, 1974. In 1974, Paul Anka staged a major comeback. Having My Baby shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, giving Anka his first chart topper in 15 years. Commercially, it was a triumph. Culturally, it was a lightning rod.
I can see it. The faces.
On paper, the song is about the joy of impending fatherhood, a man celebrating the woman carrying his child. It was meant to be tender, romantic, heartfelt, but many listeners heard something else. The repeated phrase, "You're having my baby," struck critics as possessive, even tone-deaf for the time. The woman in the song barely has a voice. Her experience is implied, but the focus stays squarely on his pride, his gratitude, his emotion. By 1974, the women's liberation movement was in full force, and suddenly, this syrupy celebration felt outdated. Musically, it didn't help. The production leaned heavily into mid-'70s soft rock gloss, sweeping strings, gentle acoustic guitars, and Anka delivering every line with maximum sincerity. There was no subtlety, no restraint. Every word felt underlined twice. For some listeners, it was sweet. For others, it was exhausting. And then came the overplay. Once it hit number 1, radio stations pushed it relentlessly. By late '74, many people were switching stations the second it began. Critics were brutal, calling it cloying and old-fashioned. Younger audiences especially saw it as everything punk rock would soon rebel against. It was a massive hit. It won awards. It made millions. But it also became one of the most mocked songs of the decade. Number 8, Afternoon Delight, Starland Vocal Band, 1976. When this song was released in 1976, not everyone immediately realized what it was about. It sounded cheerful, harmless, even wholesome. Then people listened more closely. Afternoon Delight is, quite simply, a song about daytime romance. And once that became clear, reactions shifted fast. The harmonies were bright, the arrangement was bubbly, the tone was relentlessly upbeat, but the contrast between the sunny delivery and the suggestive theme made many listeners uncomfortable. It wasn't edgy, it wasn't rebellious, it was awkward. The vocals were performed by two married couples, which somehow made it feel even more uneasy. The enthusiastic delivery clashed with the subject matter in a way that felt unintentionally comedic.
Started out this morning feeling so like I was.
And yet, it worked. The song reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and even won a Grammy for Best Arrangement for Voices. That success meant constant radio play throughout the summer of '76. By August, people were groaning. What might have been a mildly amusing novelty became unbearable through repetition. The sugary harmonies, the exaggerated enthusiasm, the sheer brightness of it all, it was too much.
And it's right, why wait until the middle of a cold, dark night?
The Starlin Vocal Band never had another major hit. This song defined their career. Today, Afternoon Delight regularly appears on Worst of the Decade lists. It's often cited as one of the most awkward pop hits ever to top the charts. Some listeners still find it charming. Many don't. #7, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree, Tony Orlando and Dawn, 1973.
What is and isn't mine?
In 1973, this song was everywhere. It spent 4 weeks at #1, sold millions of copies in a matter of weeks, and dominated radio for months. Weddings played it, variety shows featured it, lounge acts covered it nightly. And that was exactly the problem.
Around the old tree.
On the surface, the story is sentimental. A man returning home after time away writes to his partner. If she still wants him, she should tie a yellow ribbon around an oak tree. It sounds sweet, until you realize the time away was prison. The premise had emotional complexity, but the production erased all of it.
What to do if you still want me?
Instead of nuance, listeners got relentless cheerfulness, bouncy rhythm, bright hand claps, layered backing vocals bursting with forced optimism. Tony Orlando delivered every line with exaggerated enthusiasm, as if sheer positivity could smooth over the darker implications of the story. And once it got stuck in your head, it stayed there.
Told her please.
The melody was undeniably catchy. Too catchy. By summer 1973, oversaturation had kicked in. You couldn't escape it in restaurants, supermarkets, or hotel lobbies. What began as a hit turned into irritation through repetition. Even critics who initially praised its hook began to turn on it. The sweetness felt manufactured. The emotional stakes felt flattened.
Around the old.
The song's massive success even led to Tony Orlando and Dawn getting their own CBS variety show. But over time, the track became more punchline than classic. For many, it represents the overly polished, relentlessly upbeat side of early '70s pop. #6, Seasons in the Sun, Terry Jacks, 1974. On paper, this song should have been moving. Released in 1974, Seasons in the Sun tells the story of a man saying goodbye to the people he loves. It was adapted from a Belgian song by Jacques Brel and became a massive international hit. It spent 3 weeks at #1 in the US and sold millions worldwide, but for many listeners, it was unbearable. The subject matter was heavy, a farewell before death. Yet the arrangement was oddly upbeat, soft rhythm, almost cheerful melody. A sing-along chorus that felt more graduation ceremony than final goodbye. That contrast created a strange emotional disconnect. Then there was the vocal performance. Terry Jacks' voice was thin and slightly strained, especially on the higher notes. Instead of delivering heartbreak, it came across to some as whiny or overly sentimental. The repeated line, "We had joy, we had fun," quickly became one of the most mocked refrains of the decade. And once radio stations latched onto it, there was no escaping it. In 1974, it played constantly. At a time when the country was already dealing with the aftermath of Vietnam and Watergate, many listeners didn't exactly want a soft pop ballad about dying blasting through their car speakers every afternoon. Critics called it manipulative. Listeners called it depressing. Comedians turned it into a punchline. Despite all that, it was one of the biggest hits of the year. But popularity didn't protect it from backlash. Over time, Seasons in the Sun became shorthand for overly sentimental 70s pop. Some still find it touching. Many remember it as grating. Number 5. Muskrat Love, Captain and Tenele, 1976. Yes, this was real. In 1976, Captain and Tenele released a love song, not about people, not about heartbreak, about muskrats. Muskrat Love told the romantic story of Muskrat Susie and Muskrat Sam. And no, it wasn't metaphor. It wasn't satire. It was quite literally about two muskrats falling in love. And somehow, it became a hit. The song climbed to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and even hit number 1 on the Adult Contemporary chart. That meant heavy airplay, everywhere. But the lyrics were undeniably strange, nibbling on bacon, chewing on cheese, and then, toward the end, synthesizer effects mimicking muskrat sounds. Yes, really. If that wasn't awkward enough, the controversy exploded in July 1976 when Captain and Tenele performed Muskrat Love at a White House state dinner honoring Queen Elizabeth II. One guest reportedly told the press it was in very poor taste to sing about mating rodents in front of British royalty. That comment made national headlines. What had been mildly quirky suddenly became nationally embarrassing. The sweetness felt forced, the concept felt bizarre, and the overplay sealed its fate. By the late 70s, the song regularly appeared on worst ever lists. Even fans of soft rock often draw the line here. It wasn't offensive. It wasn't political. It wasn't edgy. It was just weird. Number 4, You Light Up My Life, Debby, Boone, 1977. Alone in the dark. This wasn't just a hit, it was the hit. In 1977, You Light Up My Life spent 10 consecutive weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it the biggest single of the entire decade at the time. And that level of success came with a price. At first, it sounded harmless enough. A gentle ballad, sweeping strings, a soft piano, Debby Boone's clear, technically perfect vocals. But the production was drenched in sweetness. Every note felt polished. Every lyric felt carefully engineered to maximize emotional impact. There was no grit, no edge, no surprise, just pure, unfiltered sentiment. And then came the overplay. Radio stations rotated it constantly. It was played at weddings, school dances, church events, department stores, elevators, everywhere. By early 1978, people were actively tired of it. DJs reportedly apologized before playing it. Comedians joked about it being used as torture. The opening notes alone were enough to make some listeners groan. The lyrics were vague enough to work as either a romantic song or a spiritual anthem, which broadened its appeal, but also made it feel generic. It was trying to be everything to everyone. Critics labeled it trite, overly sentimental, manufactured. Despite winning major awards, including Song of the Year at both the Grammys and the Oscars, it became one of the most resented hits of the era. The backlash was so strong, it effectively stalled Debby Boone's pop career. You Light Up My Life became shorthand for everything people felt was excessive about late 70s easy listening. Huge success, massive exposure, and equally massive irritation. Number 3, Billy Don't Be a Hero, Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods, 1974. In 1974, this song went straight to number 1. Billy Don't Be a Hero told the tragic story of a young soldier rushing into battle despite his lover begging him to stay behind. It was dramatic, emotional, designed to pull at your heartstrings, and it absolutely worked, but not in the way the creators probably hoped. The production followed the mid-70s soft rock formula perfectly. Gentle acoustic guitars, prominent strings, a polished, radio-friendly arrangement. The problem? The music sounded almost cheerful, while the lyrics described war and death. That contrast didn't feel clever. It felt manipulative.
With her head upon his shoulder.
Critics pointed out another issue. Although the song was framed as taking place during the Civil War, many listeners believed it was clearly meant as a safe, indirect reference to Vietnam. By placing the story in the 1800s, it avoided directly confronting contemporary politics. To some, that felt calculated. It wanted the emotional impact of a protest song, without taking an actual stance. And then came the overplay. It hit number 1. It sold millions, and radio stations played it constantly throughout 1974. The melodrama, already heavy, became exhausting through repetition. The exaggerated urgency in the vocals and backing harmonies started to feel theatrical rather than heartfelt. Instead of tragic, it felt staged. Over time, Billy Don't Be a Hero became a fixture on worst of the decade lists. Some listeners still defend it as a sincere anti-war ballad. But for many, it represents everything that... Number 2, Feelings, Morris Albert, 1975.
Trying to forget mine.
Few songs define over-sentimentality quite like this one. Released in 1975, Feelings climbed to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and quickly became one of the most recognizable ballads of the decade. At first, many people liked it. That didn't last.
I wish I've never met you, girl.
The problem wasn't just the emotion, it was the repetition. The word feelings is stretched, repeated, and lingered on so many times that it almost stopped sounding like a real word. The melody is simple, almost painfully simple. And once it gets into your head, it refuses to leave. Then came the overexposure. Radio stations played it constantly. Lounge singers adopted it immediately. Elevators piped it through speakers. Television variety shows featured it. By 1976, people weren't just tired of it. They were actively annoyed by it. Admitting you liked Feelings became embarrassing.
Feelings like I've never lost you.
Critics were brutal. They called it syrupy, overwrought, the ultimate example of mid-70s soft rock excess. The orchestration was lush but generic. The chord progressions felt recycled. There was no dynamic shift, just wave after wave of earnest longing delivered at full intensity. For some listeners, it was romantic. For others, it felt emotionally manipulative. What makes Feelings remarkable is how quickly public opinion turned. It went from hit single to cultural punchline in record time. It still appears on worst songs ever lists decades later. Number 1, Disco Duck, Rick Dees, 1976. The song that many consider the ultimate symbol of everything people loved and hated about the 1970s. In 1976, Memphis radio DJ Rick Dees recorded a novelty track built around one simple idea, a disco song with duck noises. That's it.
All the ladies would treat me right.
Disco Duck somehow became a number 1 hit, spending a week at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 and selling over 6 million copies worldwide. What started as a joke turned into a phenomenon, and then into a nightmare for anyone with access to a radio.
All the ladies would treat me right.
At first, it was mildly amusing. Kids loved it. Adults chuckled at it. DJs leaned into the novelty. But novelty has a shelf life. And once radio stations began playing it relentlessly, the joke wore thin, fast. The constant quacking, the basic disco beat, the one-note concept, there was nothing beneath the surface. No musical depth to rediscover. Once you heard it twice, you'd heard it forever. Worst timing was impossible. Disco Duck arrived just as anti-disco sentiment was beginning to grow. By fully embracing the genre's most exaggerated elements, it became Exhibit A for critics who claimed disco had become ridiculous. When the disco backlash exploded a few years later, this song was often held up as proof that things had gone too far.
Flapping my arms, I begin to cluck.
Fellow musicians didn't take it seriously. Critics mocked it relentlessly. It appears on almost every worst songs of all time list ever compiled. Rick Dees wisely pivoted back to radio, where he found long-term success as a DJ. But his brief moment as a recording star became a permanent punchline. Disco Duck wasn't just a novelty hit, it became the symbol of novelty excess.